Let me know your opinion on this. What do you think of the introduction of the NYS Bus services? You can tweet me at Trevor Mbijor at NTV Kenya. I'll sample some of your views on that. I'll get immediate response here from Simon Kimutai, is the chairperson of the Matatu Owners Association. Thanks for making time for us this evening.
Thank you.
Everyone wonders, and I've seen this question several times, why is it a bad idea to have a bus service that will make sure that the fares are at a flat rate?
You know, one thing is that when people go to school,
Yeah.
you do cost accounting. That bus, let it come on the road. Let them consider the input in terms of investments. When you are a business person, when you place any money in any position to do business, there must be a return. This, I don't know whether it's intentions, because that bus is worth over 17 million shillings. How much is it going to have in a day? How much will it have in a month? What is the depreciating factor of the same? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. If it is supposed to be free, let it be free and help certain classes of people, than to come in and disrupt a business where people have put in tens of billions in the name of providing movement.
Why would this disrupt a business where people have put tens of billions? Because one of the things that people have never understood, what is the rationale of Matatu's hiking fares, for example, when it rains? Does the distance change?
Let me tell you, it's not only distance. Yeah. The time. If you spent 1 hour journey time from your place of work to your place of residence, and then at one moment it takes you 3 hours, doesn't it make any sense for a hike? It's not only the distance. There's a time sitting in that vehicle, because these vehicles have got to have returns for the investment that's been placed in. So I think people need to understand there's a lot of misconception. When you even talk of cartels run lucrative business, does anybody know what kind of business is this? Does anybody know the kind of revenues we collect? This is a loss-making industry. The regulator has not even put in mechanism of controlling the influx of units into this business. There's nobody who's carried out a study to say we need to have this number of vehicles in certain routes. Today, you put an investment of 5 million, you'll never see 100,000. You are a millionaire to buy the vehicle for 5 million. You'll never see 1 million shillings in your account. You say that there are no cartels involved, but you were supposed to sanitize the industry and you brought in SACCOs, but still the same rogue people are still continuing the same style. Well, I don't know, maybe you should give me a definition of a cartel. I mean, you should give me a definition of a cartel. A cartel is a group that decides to do bad things that are not right. We are business people. We are the ones who are moving the economy. And if you decide to bring in, because the government does not know how much it has invested, whether it was free or it's been bought, and come and destroy an industry. If you charge 20 shillings, how much money will you collect in a day? How much does fuel cost? A litre of diesel is about 100 shillings. If the vehicle, a small minibus, consumes 60 litres in a day, what are the revenues collected? You hardly double that.
Yeah. This is usually, some people argue that this is the NYS Matatus are meant to bring insanity on the roads.
No,
and all Nairobians have an experience with Matatus, dropping people anywhere, picking people wherever they want, cutting you off the line. It's that rogue industry that people are complaining about.
Well, I think they've missed the point. I have put in proposals and counter proposals on how to get away from this. This is the only industry that has been ignored and totally put to waste. You see, like Bandari, they have training school, Kenya Railway training school. There is nobody who has ever thought of road transport, yet they move the economy. There is no formal training. Apart from having a 4-year-old license, you go to the regulator, he gives you a PSV license, irrespective of whether you know how to drive or not. So there are so many loopholes that needs to be sealed. This is not a remedy. This is not a remedy at all. In the first place, I want to say that it's not that we have a shortfall of units to carry people. It's the congestion in town. The congestion issue should be the first thing to be addressed. These guys have very big vehicles. In fact, let me tell you, one window of that vehicle, a day's collection will not be enough. The windscreen is over 50,000. If somebody threw a stone, you'll need to work for a whole month to put it back.
Let's stay away from their cost.
So I just want to. I want to. There's a business case I want to show you.
Yes.
In any business, you must cost account to see whether there's any viability. There are failures from the government side.
But if they're doing it now, it means they know how it's going to balance out.
If you're taking our money as government's money to put in an area where people are doing business, what is it? The other day, there was maize and there was these subsidies. Who are giving the subsidies? Isn't it the millers? Why didn't the government decide to put on its millers?
Let's stay on the Matatu discussion.
No, but I'm just...
Worldwide,
they're like...
worldwide, Mr. Kimutai, the mass public transport has always been run by government. Would that be a good idea to start with here?
Not government, it's partnership between private sector and government. That would be a good idea. Is this partnership?
Do you have, this could be argued to be partnership, because also you were speaking about congestion, and there was a suggestion that Matatus should stay out of the CBD. That was shot down. The Matatu Owners Association did not like that idea.
Let's reason on the same.
Yes.
It's not an issue. I would, if my journey would be even up to Westlands and my costing becomes better, I would drop them. But you see, we must look at our customers. Have you made arrangements for security and utilities to be used? There was totally nothing. And do you know where you're shifting people from, for instance, CBD to where? There was no preparation. That was the issue. It's not being shut down. We would like to make our business as easy to run and an area where we can be able to make profits. But you see, when you're giving a better, I mean, you're not leveling the ground well, then what happens? You will strangle the weak and you'll let those with muscles be able to continue. We need, with all fairness, that the levels of the grounds have got to be level. In the first place, if I would ask about the WU service, did they apply for any route? Those are requirements by NTSA. They did not. Were they, have they been, are these the kind of buses that have been prescribed for the urban setup? They're not. So there are a lot of illegalities with it. But somehow we don't mind when a government comes in, but it has to come in a way, stakeholders have got to understand the input. But not to bring in big buses, to strangle people with small buses who are struggling. What we need to do is that it's got to be a win-win situation for all of us. So I think what is important here is, I know, 27 buses, NYS has been there before. And you know what happened to it. Though even the buses were free, they were given freely, they were donations from mostly Scandinavian countries, but they were put on its knees. This one, it will put itself on its knees unless the government is ready to be spending money and giving services on the side.
So why don't you let it put itself on its knees? Because you're talking about the cost balance, and then you also don't want
just
them
a moment,
to operate.
just a
Why
moment.
don't you just let them operate and
But
see
we
how
must
it
be
goes?
treated equally. We must be treated equally. The grounds have got to be levelized. These guys will traverse within the city. There are areas where Matatus are not supposed to get into. So there must be level. We are doing business. I don't know what the government is trying to do business with this.
So your argument is that they need to stick to the rules and that's it. Then you will let them operate. Even if they maintain their 20 shillings base
but
fare.
How do you come into a market where you know you buy bread for 30 shillings and you're selling it for 40? Somebody who brings it and sells it for 10. How are you going to survive?
But Mr. Kimutai, you must agree with me that their budget people must have seen that and they know that this is going to work.
So what is the message?
Also, during the off-peak hours, you actually charge the same fares that they're charging right now. The only difference is when it rains or when there's a bit of traffic, the fare changes.
You see what is happening?
It means you can actually
what is happening here, you know, we must be told to be prepared early so that we, you know, people have taken big loans from banks, financial institutions to run the business. Now, if you come in to undercut them, what happens? You die. And yet, it is a service. It is a service that facilitates economic activities. So, it's all about fairness. You know, if you're rich and you want to splash money, you don't use that kind of method to kill others. Are you going to sustain yourself in that position? It's not sustainable. I'm telling you, I mean, we will be able to see. I know it's a government, they will use all the thorax to come in. Let them come in. But it's just a matter of time. And my members are complaining because there's no due process being followed like we do. We are subjected to so many things. We do pay advance taxes. Have they gone into the same? Because if it is business, there must be a way of doing it. There shouldn't be a place where people are exempted to pay taxes. Have they paid advance tax like us? All public transport in this country, before you're licensed, you must pay advance tax. Have they done that? I know it's no. But all in all, what I say is that the kind of proposals that have been put in place cannot work.
All right, and we have Mesh Kivia here who says, Trevor, I don't understand how commuting from Nairobi bus station to South Sea cost 100 shillings and from Nairobi to Thika is 50 shillings. Can Matatu Owners Association explain this logic? What's the strategy employed in defining this fare?
Well, I don't know where he got those figures. I'm not a figure person. What we do is that we tell all SACCOs to be fair to members. If at times he would take a ride even for 20 shillings, I'm sure he cannot complain when he pays less. At times, as I said, it's justified at certain moments to pay a certain percentage more because of the time spent. You know, this is a unit that needs to bring in money. It needs to bring in its business. So you must have revenue that actually would bring you profits.
So having said all this, Mr. Kimutai, then why is the strike necessary? Because
no, I don't know where the name strike came from.
So you're confirming that there's no strike?
Well, anyway, you know, my members would say anything, and I don't know where that came from.
So
well, I just want to say, before we decide on strike, we are business people. We reason, we sit down and agree. And if they have to come into an area to do business, we must all do business the same.
Okay.
You don't need to flex because you're richer. All you need to do is just let all business, if they are coming in, let them come in. And the due process must be followed. And I'm telling you, to be very honest, this can't survive.
Is there a feedback process whereby if somebody is overcharged, they can report to the SACCO and then they'll be refunded or stopped? Or have you ever thought of rationalizing the fare so that when I come into a matatu, I'm not surprised when I'm already in there?
You see, we have made recommendations to SACCOs and companies that they need to stick their fares on, paste it on the window.
But is it
so when
happening?
you go, it is happening. One thing is that, you know, one funny thing is that the eye is very funny, that when good things are happening, we don't catch it. But when one bad thing happens, our eyes focus on the same. We could have one rogue. I mean, it's everywhere in the world. We can have a rogue person who would put their fares up that particular moment. Okay. But somehow, if the majority are doing good, we should also praise them.
But you're also confirming there is no strike coming up. We have
well, let me tell you, I think we don't want to talk about, we need to be civil. And we need to.
There's no strike. That's
my association members, we don't. I have not mentioned anything about strike, and I believe, you know, we are reading a lot of messages that it's in our imagination. Okay. That what are these people coming to do? Are they coming to push us out of business? Yeah. You know, today in Kenya, when such things do happen, we think, are Chinese preparing their vehicles to bring them in? Okay. We have already a plan to convert ourselves to bus rapid transit. Okay. We have gone and negotiated for big buses for every SACCO in this city, so that we can upgrade our services. But when these come, we now think twice. Okay. What are they up to? When you look at that bus is meant for intercity. It's supposed to go from here to Kisumu. Okay. But not from Kawangware to town. It's a very big, huge bus. It occupies so much space, unlike the smaller ones. You see the other ones which are configured in a way that it fits you know, the urban transport. Yeah. It's not as big as this one. All right.
Mr. Simon Kimutai, we have to leave it there. Thanks for making time
Thank
for
you.
us.
Thank you.
We'll have this discussion later on also on NTV. We're taking a short break in NTV Weekend Edition. When we come back, we still have a lot more. Don't go too far.